They said, well, everybody better keep their gun in case we need to spin up an army here. So that's why. So the Second Amendment has nothing to do with Joe Schmo in Miami having an automatic weapon. That's
because
and
you
the
can
NRA knows that.
You can put in an assault ban rifle. I mean, you can ban assault rifles in Minnesota, but they're just going to come in from the Dakotas because they don't have one there.
Yeah.
And nobody's checking at the border to see if you're coming in with these weapons.
Well, I'm kind of astonished that anybody with any common sense would say, yeah, I need a war weapon in my house. I have a gun. I don't want a war weapon in my house. I don't understand why somebody would. What's the justification for that? That you want to talk about people that ought to be screened? It's people that have a war weapon. I would put those people through some psychological screening just to see what the heck makes you think you need to be able to fight a war from your living room. I think you might have a problem, sir or madam.
Oh, I still remember coming home one day or going to visit my dad, and he shows me a weapon that the DC sniper had. And he was all like, look at this. Not the actual one, the same type of weapon. And I was just like, why do you need to have this?
Well, doesn't that sound a little bit like what you were just talking about? Somebody that kind of idolizes
No, he doesn't do that. No.
Okay.
But it is weird to me that, like, why would he need to have that? And we can sit here and we can talk about, and suddenly, MAGA's coming out there in the GOP. Oh, mental health. We need more mental health. We need to invest in mental health. But then they turn around and they do everything they can to axe mental health funding.
Right.
And Medicaid and all of that stuff. So they're not serious about this. And we know that their policies will not solve this issue.
Right.
But this idea that we can just have safe storage and liability insurance,
right,
and more red flag laws. Yes, these can help, and I know, having been in higher education, that there are things that teachers should be on the lookout for, particularly if you're in classes that have writing, where you can see what students are writing, and they're in essays or but is a parent going to sit there? This parent didn't notice that something was happening?
That's astonishing to me. I mean, I don't know the situation, but I think of it objectively. That's astonishing.
We need to get on board. Repeal and replace the Second Amendment.
I agree. Where do I sign? Oh. I'm all for it. Start over.
There it is.
Start over.
There it is. It needs to happen. We are coming up on the end of our time here. What I do want to say really quickly, I want to close on, if you want to give a financial donation to the survivors and the victims' families of the Annunciations shooting, you can text ACF1 to 41444. That will take you to the Minneapolis Foundation. They have established a fund. They are very legit. You can feel good about donating there. You can get started by texting ACF1 to 41444. The Catholic Community Foundation of Minnesota has created the Annunciation Hope and Healing Fund. You can visit their website to donate. It is ccf-mn.org. That's ccf-mn.org. And the Uvalde Foundation for Kids has also launched a fundraising drive. You can visit their website, uvaldefoundation.com, UVALDE foundation.com. That is all for us here today on WCPT. Up next is Chu's Views with Richard Chu. On AM 950, it is the Matt McNeil Show. Stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. And then at 10 p.m. Central, Step into the Unknown with Greg Bakken on Ghost Box Radio. And until tomorrow, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.
Ooh, just what I needed. A mug. This time of year, what do you give? When it's your extra concert, game, or special event tickets to VetTix, you're giving our nation's brave service members and veterans an amazing experience. Give something to those who gave. VetTix. For more information on how you can make a difference right now, or to become a VetTixer, go to vettix.org.
What's on your to-do list? Check your mail? Get groceries? How about getting your annual vaccines? We can help you check that off.
You've got this.
Yes, you do. Because we've got you. With local vaccine events and access to transportation, protecting yourself and your loved ones is not a chore anymore.
You've got this.
A message from the Aging and Disability Vaccination Collaborative, powered by U.S. Aging. Funded by the U.S. Administration for Community Living through a grant to U.S. Aging. Learn more at yougotthis.usaging.org.
From the heart of Chicago, it's WCPT 820. Progressive Talk Radio, where facts matter and voices fight for change. WCPT 820.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. A federal appeals court ruled President Trump cannot use an 18th century wartime law to speed the deportations of people his administration accuses of being part of Venezuela's Tren de Aragua gang. The case will likely end up at the U.S. Supreme Court, and U.S. Space Command will be located in Alabama. Trump made the announcement yesterday and reversed a Biden-era decision to keep it at its temporary headquarters in Colorado. And overseas, Vladimir Putin has met with North Korea's leader. AP's Lisa Dwyer has more.
After a bilateral meeting between Russian and North Korean delegations, the Kremlin says that Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un met formally for a one-on-one meeting in Beijing, traveling from a reception to the bilateral in the same car. Putin also invited Kim to visit Russia again. Kim last visited Russia in 2023. Earlier, the two leaders attended a major military parade marking the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. According to South Korean assessments, since last year, North Korea has sent around 15,000 troops to Russia and has provided large quantities of military equipment, including ballistic missiles and artillery, to help bolster Russia's war in Ukraine. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The United Nations is warning of an exponential rise in casualties from eastern Afghanistan's powerful 6.0 magnitude. Yesterday, a Taliban government spokesman said more than 1,400 people have been killed, with more than 3,000 injured in the province of Kunar. And Hurricane Lorena has formed off Mexico's Baja California peninsula. Forecasters expect it to strengthen in the next 24 hours, with up to 15 inches of rain in some areas. A tropical storm warning has been issued. This is AP News. Political violence has hit a rally in southwest Pakistan.
A suicide bomber has blown himself up outside a stadium as supporters of a nationalist party were leaving a rally on the outskirts of Quetta. With reporters backed Muhammad, Baluchistan Health Minister explains, when the rally finished, a suicide blast occurred, and as per initial information, so far more than 12 people have been martyred and 31 wounded, 7 of which are in a critical condition. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack. The rally was held to mark the anniversary of the death of Sada Atullah Mengal, a veteran nationalist leader and former provincial chief minister. Balochistan has long been the scene of a low-level insurgency, with groups demanding independence from the central government. The separatists have largely targeted security forces and workers from Pakistan's Punjab province. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
And I'm...
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered rain showers and thunderstorms possible late today. Otherwise, partial sunshine develops, a high in the mid-70s. We'll have winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. Tonight, a slight chance for showers and storms early on, decreasing clouds, a low near 51. Thursday, sunshine, high of 68 degrees. Friday, sunny, high of 67. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 64.
Allstate's new home insurance is now better than ever. We're making getting the right home insurance that's right for you super easy with our improved online quoting tool. It explains how each coverage option works for you without the headache. Yep, you can start protecting your home in a matter of minutes. So check Allstate first for home insurance that's better than ever. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Coverage subject to terms, qualifications, and availability. Allstate North American Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter. Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Wednesday morning, progressives. Chins up and shoulders back. It's time to fight, guys. Welcome to the September 3rd, 2025 edition of Choose Views, 773-763-9278. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube. Of course, email me at richard@wcpt820.com. And follow me on Substack, Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. That's where I hang out for that social media stuff that all the folks are doing. So, as always, catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And, of course, iHeartRadio. There you can get Choose Views featured interviews, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, Patty Vasquez, driving you home, and The Big Picture with Edwin Eisendrath, as well as Out Chicago, and our other shows and interviews. Make your way to heartlandsignal.com. We really have a ton of great clips there, articles and posts that you'll want to check out. Angela Farrell Zabala is the executive director of Moms Demand Action and spoke on the shooting that took place at the Annunciation Day School. She said a 10-year-old boy had more courage hiding in a church while his friend shielded him with his body than I have seen from far too many lawmakers beholden to the gun lobby, of course, the NRA. So great clip there. And then Governor Laura Kelly in Kansas said that she's making sure that the folks at DOJ don't have access to personal information, and she's doing a hell of a job of making sure that the data is secure and that they do not have access to servers that would provide them with personal information, social security numbers, dates of birth, and that sort of thing. And many of you may have heard yesterday, but I'll repeat it again today. Joni Ernst, Iowa senator, says she's not seeking re-election in 2026. So what does that mean? It means that the seat now is, there's an opportunity, and that seat was one that she won, but not by any big margins. So my hope there is that the folks in Iowa wake the you-know-what up and look at, this is a woman who went backwards when it came to voting on a couple of key things. The big bill. She also went backwards when it came to voting for security for women and protection for women's rights. She went backwards there. And I'm hoping that the citizens of Iowa will stop for a moment and say, wait a minute, how have our lives gotten actually better with the votes that Joni Ernst has given us, that the Republicans in the Senate have given us? I hope that the Iowans will stop and just ask themselves this objective question. Ask that question really and truly. Do you have better income? Do you have better medical care? Do you have the things that the Republicans promised you that they were fighting for you? And I could laundry list others. But do we have that? Iowans, you have to ask yourself that objective question. And do you stop and talk to farmers in your own communities, in your own state, and say, have the tariffs benefited us, or have the taxes? Thanks, Naomi in Los Angeles. Again, yesterday, Naomi called in, Henry, and she said, Richard, I'm upset with you. Not really. She said, I want you to consider start using the word taxes versus tariffs. But did the tariffs levied through this idiot in the White House and his band of other merry idiots, and I know folks don't like it when I do that, but just work with me for a moment. Have they helped us, Iowans? Or have they made it more difficult and more treacherous and uncertain for farmers? Please, Iowans, ask yourself that question. Be honest with yourself. Do your best to take race and culture and gender and, frankly, white privilege and Christian nationalism and ideology out of the equation, and all the Mexicans that are coming across the border to come get us. Just press pause on it and ask yourself the question, would a Democratic senator in the state of Iowa do better for us? Because the Republicans haven't done a damn thing to really make it better for us. Take those other issues out for a moment and just ask that raw question and come up with the raw answer. Are your roads better? You know, and I hope that, so the flip side of that, Henry, is I hope that whoever the Democrats put up as the candidate to run for that seat speaks that way. If I'm in Des Moines and I'm running, and I'm a black dude in Des Moines and I'm running for that seat, I'm speaking that way very, very unapologetically to the citizens of the state of Iowa. And I'm going to ask them some very hard questions. When was the last time a black man, a Hispanic man, an Asian man, a Jewish man, a Muslim man, a man from the Middle East rolled into your neighborhood and started tearing stuff up? I'm going to ask those kinds of questions if I'm running as that candidate. As a black dude, I can ask that question. I mean, you can too. But the point is, I hope that the Democratic leadership in the state of Iowa and nationally puts someone in that's going to ask those kinds of questions, frankly, of white Iowans, to get them to rethink their politics and who they look to vote for and who's going to actually be there for them. What has Joni Ernst really done? And I would look women straight in the eye, and I know this is probably maybe a tough way to go. I would look women straight in the eye of all ages and ask the question, was she really looking out for you and your daughters and your granddaughters and your nieces and, frankly, your nephews with her votes on women's health care? I'd ask that question. I'd hold the necessary events to ask those questions. So I'm fingers crossed in that space, and y'all might think I'm crazy for trying to be optimistic, but I'm trying to be optimistic and forward about what we could potentially get done in that state. All right. Today's show is busy. Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch will be with us in the 6:30 hour. Our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blues 63 will be with us at 7. And Sarah Jones will be with us today. Kind of shook things up because of the holiday today in the 7:30 hour. So we're looking forward to having these three great folks on the show today. But right now, check this out, progressives.
Trump is not a conservative. He is not a conservative. Conservatives defend institutions. They are in favour of incremental change. Trump is an authoritarian populist. It is all about him. It's Trumpism. It's him. And he has put his own narcissistic, self-interested agenda ahead of everything else. And the big loser has been the United States. And the only people that would genuinely get pleasure out of this are America's enemies.
That was Malcolm Turnbull speaking on Trump, of course. And that's exactly right. Those are the only folks that are benefiting. And I wanted to juxtapose that, and put the mirror up with regards to Joni Ernst. Iowa, you have to ask that question. You have to be willing to ask yourself that question. And Democratic leaders, as you start to think about who is going to run, who you're going to get behind, they have to be willing to ask that question. And frankly, the DNC, both on a state and a national level, needs to be looking at a candidate that's going to sit down with folks in Iowa and ask those series of questions repeatedly, and then talk about what the Republican Party at large and specifically in the state has done to harm folks in that state. And then the mirror, of course, is here's what we're going to do to better your lives. And that's part of a grander, larger message that Democrats need to be having anyhow, which is how specifically have the Republican Party, the GOP leaders, elected officials really truly benefited you? 5 or 6 categories that we all know and in one way or another are impacted, and ask, is this really better? Okay, I said this yesterday, Henry, proportionate to the Trump family since the beginning of the year, since Trump took office, I've seen 2 estimates. One was 3.8, the other was $5 billion that the family has accumulated in additional wealth since he took office. So my question would be, how many people? So let's go to where they started from. Let's just say it was $2 billion, and now they're at 3.8, or let's say they're at 5. So we'll split the difference and say 4. That's a 100% increase from 2 billion to 4 billion. That's a 100% increase in their wealth. So ask yourself, America, has your wealth increased by 100% since January 21st of 2025? If it hasn't, and you voted for this, then you were either a doggone fool, you fit my 4 legs of the stool, or you just got hoodwinked. 100% increase in your wealth in 7 months. If the estimates are even close to right, if they're half right, 50%. So Iowa, you have to ask that question as you go forward in replacing or putting a new senator in. It needs to be that specific. All right, guys, let's take a quick break. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM in Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is your WCPT Progressive Calendar. Tuesday, September 16th at 5:30 p.m., the Chicago Council on Global Affairs will host a panel discussion called Retreat or Resilience, Responding to Global Democratic Decline. Panelists include Norman Eisen, Senior Fellow at the Brookings Institution, and Susan Stokes, Director of the Chicago Center on Democracy. Visit globalaffairs.org to learn more and register to attend. Tuesday, September 30th at 5 p.m., the Institute for Policy Research at Northwestern University welcomes Ali Zaidi for a distinguished public policy lecture. Zaidi headed the White House Climate Policy Office during the Biden administration and served as President Biden's top advisor on domestic climate policy. The event is free and takes place at White Auditorium, 2211 Campus Drive in Evanston.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter. Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Hey, guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us this morning. Let's hit them with a couple of quick Choose Views news items so we keep things moving this morning, given that we've got guests at 6:30, Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch. All right, Choose Views news, September 3rd, 2025. Kraft and Heinz are about to break up. So that means, Henry, you can't put any ketchup on your mac and cheese. Not that you would in the first place, but Kraft Heinz is breaking up into 2 different groups, according to what they said yesterday in a press release, on doing a decade-old mega merger. One of the new companies will deal only with sauces and seasonings, including Heinz ketchup. The other will focus on North American grocery staples, including brands such as Oscar Mayer and Lunchables. Warren Buffett, who spearheaded the original 2015 merger, said he's disappointed by the split and doesn't believe it will solve the company's problems. That's an interesting statement. When I read this, I thought, okay. So, such as a 21% drop in share price over the last year. Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway is Kraft Heinz's largest shareholder. More companies target fall IPOs. What does that mean? The IPO market is reactivating after tariff uncertainty kept many companies on the sidelines. BlackRock Coffee Bar and Winklevoss-backed crypto exchange Gemini are launching roadshows looking to raise as much as $265 billion and $317 million, respectively. So IPOs are on the rise again, and we'll keep you posted. And I know that the reason that that's, I think, relevant right now is a number of individuals that try to invest once an IPO has been put into play. Stocks, September begins kind of slow, a little weak. There was a little bit of a slump, and Treasury yields rose yesterday amid renewed concerns over the direction of the economy, as well as the uncertainty of the White House's tariff policy. All three major stock indexes declined, marking a downbeat to the start of September, which is historically, actually this is true, been a weak period for equity markets. A sell-off in large-cap technology stocks weighed on the S&P and the NASDAQ, and investors are also looking ahead to Friday's August jobs report, which will share and show the potential implications for the Federal Reserve's stance on interest rates. And last but not least, who's covered by no tax on tips? After years of debate, Congress finally passed a, quote, no tax on tips law over the summer. And Axios reports that 68 different jobs will be covered by the new tax deduction, in addition to occupations like restaurant servers, hairdressers, hotel customer service workers, and ride-hail drivers. The tax break will apply to digital content creators, so that's not bad, DJs, and self-enrichment teachers. The law allows eligible workers to take a tax deduction of up to $25,000 per year for tipped income. All right. A couple of Choose Views news items on this September 3rd, 2025. Yeah, no more ketchup on the mac and cheese. Got to split those up now. Those are the rules. So, guys, let me grab this quick note here. All right. So, troops in Chicago will be a disaster. Now, my prayer, my hope, Governor Pritzker made a comment to this effect yesterday. And what am I talking about? Basically, he said that it's about restraint. Troops in any city in the country, if it's Des Moines, Iowa, if it's Chicago, Illinois, if it's Birmingham, Alabama, if it's Mobile, Alabama, if it's any city, red or blue politically, are a disaster for that city unless there is an actual disaster. If it's this sort of fake guise of law enforcement, it's a bunch of BS. I've seen things on social media, and I sometimes take things on social media with a grain of salt, Henry. I look at it and go, okay, that person's a knucklehead, or that post is knuckleheadish, to make up a word. So you just move on. But I also get that there's people who want to sort of say, I mean, like, you know, let's partner with the federal government in terms of the troops because it's going to clean up crime in the city of Chicago. And I'll give you my point real quickly here. Governor Pritzker said, in terms of restraint, if you know, don't be the one to decide to throw a sandwich. He was using that as an example of what took place with the gentleman in D.C. Don't be that person, because they are just looking for a way and a reason to enact martial law. So the governor is right on point. Restraint, restraint, restraint. Everybody, all of us. If you happen to, God forbid, be taking your children to school, and you come to a neighborhood anywhere in the city, because what we don't know, and I asked this question last week, where? But if you happen to be traversing to work or traversing to drop your children off, and there is a phalanx of tanks that or military vehicles because they're blocking off a neighborhood for whatever reason, please, y'all, and I don't care if you're coming from one community to the next, if you're in the north side, the west side, the northwest side, the south or southwest side or southeast side, just be patient. Do not engage with these men and women who have been deployed. I'm going to be respectful to them because they got orders, but don't engage. If you listen, any of us are susceptible to this. You're trying to get your children to school, and you happen to have to go down a street where they've got troops, and you're running late to get your child to school. Don't make it worse by, engaging. I'm just saying, and I don't care what community you're coming from. Please be be patient with yourself and recognize that the idiot in the way, excuse me, sorry about that, guys, that snuck up on me. The idiot in the White House and his regime want you to act up. And I'll be candid as I can be. And they hope that it's people of color that act up, but they don't care if it's somebody that's not. So if you're one of my Caucasian brothers or sisters rolling to and from work or to and from picking up your children from whatever, or going to check on granny or auntie, and you go down the street and there happens to be military troops there, take a breath, take a pause. If you're going to be late, grab your phone and call somebody and let them know. But don't push that envelope. Okay? And I'm just trying to find a way of creating some connection for us here so that we are united in our patience. We are united in our ability to withstand the foolishness of them coming in. I don't want to call, I'm working really hard to not call the National Guard fools because they are deployed. They're following orders. But the foolishness that they are having to follow. Do your best. Think about it like this. If you're coming from any neighborhood, and again, I repeatedly am saying it this way, from any neighborhood in the city or surrounding area, please think about the other side. That's oftentimes how I get past something that's challenging, is thinking about what it'll be like, Henry, to be on the other side of this. That's where the goodness is. So if you're going to pick up your child, or you're going to visit auntie at the nursing home, or you're going to the church, to whatever it might be, all I'm asking is you think about what it'll be like when you get there. Don't think about the person that's in front of you grilling you on why you're in this particular neighborhood or any of the other things that may happen. I'm trying to be very literal about this because I just want folks to be prepared. Okay? And just do that for me and do that for you and do that for us as a city, as a community. And I don't really care where you sit on the issue of the troops potentially being deployed, whether you think they should be here or not. I think it's insane. It's a waste of resources. It's endangering lives more than helping and protecting people's lives. What good has come out of them being in D.C.? A lot of folks being pushed to the limit of their patience. So there's no good in it coming to Chicago or any other city. There's nothing peaceful about it. So I'm asking Chicagoans to take a deep breath as best you can. Young folks, those in the middle, and those that are older. Because there's some older folks out there that probably are going to be a little bit frustrated behind this as well as anybody else. So let's try to do that together, guys. Let's do our best to do this together if they actually do physically show up wherever or whatever neighborhood they are in. If you know someone that's in a neighborhood where the troops end up being, check in on them. Make sure that person is okay. You live on the north side and you've got a friend in Hyde Park, and they happen to be there, or you live in Inglewood and you know someone that's on the north side and they happen to be in that neighborhood, check on your friend, check on your coworker. If you are at work and you know someone that lives in an area where they are going to be posted, let that coworker know, check on them to make sure that they get home safely. And the reason I'm being very literal about this is, again, the regime wants people to act up. They want one thing to happen so they can immediately deploy more troops and then work toward enacting martial law. That is the only reason. Because if you're a smart leader and politician and all the rest, you look at the numbers and go, numbers are down. If we're going to deploy, let's go where their numbers are up. If we're truly trying to affect fixing crime. And for any of the knuckleheads out there that wanted to post, hey, you've got these shootings and blah blah blah. There's shootings in other places in the country that need to be navigated and managed more so than here. All right, let's take a quick break, guys. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Every 40 seconds, a child is reported missing. That's 2,000 children every single day. It's a heart-wrenching reality that we can no longer ignore. Find the Children is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping find missing kids. You can be a part of their mission by donating your unwanted vehicle, running or not. Call 1-800-775-5622. We guarantee that you will receive the maximum tax deduction. We provide fast, free pickup with 24-hour response. Call 1-800-775-5622. Find the Children provides crucial resources to help find missing children and educational materials to teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators. Our recovery programs have a proven track record of reuniting kids with their families. It's time to act. Donate your unwanted or unused car. Help us build a world where every child is safe. Pick up the phone and call 1-800-775-5622. Together, we can bring these kids home safely. This advertisement was paid for by Cars R Us and Find the Children.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered rain showers and thunderstorms possible late today. Otherwise, partial sunshine develops, a high in the mid-70s. We'll have winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. Tonight, a slight chance for showers and storms early on, decreasing clouds, a low near 51. Thursday, sunshine, high of 68 degrees. Friday, sunny, high of 67. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 64.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey, guys. Welcome back for sure. 773-763-9278 is our number. And as I said at the top of the show, we are busy this morning. Busy how? Well, because we have these wonderfully experienced, great guest with us this morning. And with us this morning, again, is our good friend, immigration attorney, and just phenomenal leader, Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch. Good morning, Kate. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I know where to start, but then my brain goes, but there's 5 other things you want to ask her. So
we can meander.
Yeah, well, sometimes that's a good thing. I love that word. That's one of my favorite words to use in general in life. But I will start off by asking you the question that is truly my concern for you, because I care, and that is how you are doing. I know you've been busy as heck and fighting the fight every day for the folks who need you the most. But how are you doing? How are you holding up?
Oh, thanks. I'm doing all right. You know, I keep reminding myself it is an honor to be able to represent immigrant families and to have a skill that is useful in times like these. I know exactly how I can help, and that is a good thing. So, but, you know, it's massively frustrating to be in these cases. We do a lot of detained cases, and so to deal with these families of people who have been plucked off the streets or from the courtrooms, and to not be able to give them clear answers on what's going to happen is really hard. And, you know, to be able to be in the fight is also of value. So I'm okay. Thank you.
Absolutely. So you said something that I want to make sure that I understand, and maybe our listeners know, but if you could put a little bit of more context on when you said detained cases. What does that mean?
Well, within the world of immigration, there's employment cases where you help, companies and HR people petition for their employees. And then there's family-based cases and humanitarian cases and removal defense. And detained work is the sub-niche within immigration where you are representing the people who have been put in detention. They're in immigration jail, and the work is getting them out. And it's definitely, I would say, the hardest of all of the practice areas, certainly emotionally, and also from a, what you're up against perspective. So we have expanded our detained representation at my law firm out of obvious necessity. And as I do, check-ins on our cases with the clients, I spoke at a rally over the weekend about ICE detentions, and we had 9 clients who were picked up by law enforcement, sheriffs or state troopers, And I called the families of each of those clients to see if anybody wanted to come to the rally or provide a statement. And so just hearing from each of them the stories and how they're doing is, I mean, it's so upsetting, so egregious. I mean, people who have been here for decades, 30 years, 20 years, no criminal history, businesses, families, children who are crying for them every night with no real clear end in sight for them either. That's the other thing, is that, some of these people under new policy are not eligible for release on bond. So we're appealing to, the humanity and the kindness of ICE, of which there is not much these days. And so then we're saying to these families, okay, well, we're going to wait for them to, process our request for release. And if that doesn't go the way we want it, then we're going to have to sue them in federal court. And, it's just the solutions that we have at hand in our, basket of tricks are diminishing. And that part is really hard and frustrating.
And that's why I respectfully and carefully from a caring perspective, I wanted to ask you the question about how you are doing, because I know that even with that skill set, useful skill set, as you put it, and that care that you have for what's right for so many people that are caught in this situation, it takes a lot out of you. So we genuinely care, and we, if every now and again you feel that wind hit you, I told you, with Windy City would be sending you energy, and so that's what that is, even though it's a Texas wind that you're getting. But, Kate, I one of the things that I try to do with our guests is keep a smile on your face. And I want to, applaud you and your firm for the hard work. And I know our listeners all over the country feel the same way. I do kind of have a question in terms of around the country. Do you have colleagues, or do you have other attorneys that, for lack of better words, there is a way of sharing the load with things that they're dealing with? I mean, do you have attorneys that and work with here in Chicago or in Los Angeles or, in Florida or wherever else, that you guys can kind of share information, share success stories, and or talk about things that might be coming their way to give them a little bit of a heads up in terms of dealing with some of those things?
Oh, absolutely. The immigration bar, is what we would say, is a very collegial, very fun bar. And of course, we are at war and we are at battle. And one of the neat things about being an immigration lawyer is that we're all on the same side of the fight. It's always been that way. So if you compare it to maybe like a, litigator or a family law attorney, and you get a bunch of divorce attorneys together, they've all been opposing counsel on different cases, whereas you get a bunch of immigration lawyers together and we're always on the same side of the fight against DHS. So it's a very collegial bar. And, of course, we have the American Immigration Lawyers Association and all the functions and the CLE seminars, but then there's a lot of Facebook groups. And, a lot of our work these days is, oh my gosh, okay, new policy, new memo, new regulation, new case. What are we doing about this, guys? What are we thinking about this? How are we communicating with our clients? And there's a conversation daily within the immigration bar about how we are responding, and we're supporting each other. So I'm really glad to be an immigration lawyer for that reason. I love my immigration law colleagues. And yeah, we stick together for sure.
That's good to hear. That's really good to hear. And I've been, pushing everybody to stay connected and stay, in touch with each other. Check in on people that make sure that folks that are fighting a fight of a particular nature, that, they get a phone call from you to support. And so that's one of the reasons I just wanted to check with you on that, in terms of what your colleagues are doing and how you guys are rallying. So talking about legislation for a second, but I want to come back to something earlier that you mentioned in terms of the agents themselves. How are they? Well, I don't know how much your interactions are with agents, but when you've had interactions with agents, do you get a sense that they don't want to be in this role? Excuse me, from the way in which they're having to enforce some of the legislation and some of the rules, or do you get any sense that they're following orders. I was talking, and the reason for this question, Kate, so you understand, I was talking earlier about the National Guard being deployed here in Chicago, and we're on the threshold of that. And I was just saying to everybody, stand down, stay cool, and not engage, not provoke. Do you get any sense that the ICE agents they're down with this, or they're like, I'm just following orders, or is there a mixture of that?
They don't show their humanity in our interactions with them. You would never know what they think or feel. They just give, every communication with them is monitored. And I think that they're under a lot of scrutiny and oversight. I know that there have been reports of low morale within the agency. And obviously they're having difficulty keeping people and recruiting people because they're, literally recruiting teenagers and, paying big sign-on bonuses and all of that. So we know that morale is low within the agency, but our interactions with them are just very, just here's the answer, here's the response. No sort of discussion about what they think about it. And, I would say, I think anybody, this might be a bold statement, but I think any ICE officer that has stayed within the agency is making a mistake. I think that anybody, especially these, officers who are going out and doing these arrests on the streets and in the courthouses, anybody who's continuing to do that, I think, is up for prosecution when all of this is over, because they are violating people's constitutional rights, and people really are being tortured inside these facilities. We've heard the reports of the way that people are treated. Women are having to go to the bathroom in front of the men. There's not enough medical care, food, water. I mean, at this rally I went to on Saturday, I met a woman who was detained for a traffic infraction 12 days postpartum after a C-section. And she had an infection. She was not able to urinate, and they put her on the top bunk. And this detention center, she couldn't even climb into the bed, and her baby wasn't taking formula at home. I mean, it's nightmarish. And any ICE agent who is still in the agency is complicit in this torture of human beings. And what I want to say to the ICE agents who are in there and thinking, I need a job, I have to support my family, I don't know what else to do, I would say quit your job. And really, all you would have to do is do one video, contact one news agency, do one video and say, I was an ICE agent, I was not okay with what was happening, and now I need a job. And I think job offers would come out of the woodwork for somebody like that. It's not enough to say, I need to support my family, and therefore I'm going to detain and torture people. Sorry, that's not a good enough excuse.
Support your family while destroying others. I wrote that down as you were describing that, Kate. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM, and 103.5 from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We are talking with immigration attorney Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch, and I always start when I introduce you and mention your name. I think great human being first, attorney, immigration attorney second, because for you to take on this work and to do what you're doing, there's a depth of character that you have, and I want to ask you this question. It's a personal question, but I think I hope it's important for those who are listening and understanding how to get their courage. And so, Kate, where does it come from? You talked about the useful skill set. I like that wording, but where does it come from? Where does this care? Where does this part of you come from that allows you to do this work and do it in a manner that has been heroic?
Well, it's been about 20 years since I found immigration, and I went to the University of Texas Law School in Austin, and the UT has clinical programs where you can practice being a lawyer and have clients in different practice areas. And I speak and spoke Spanish, and I wanted to use my language. So I signed up for the immigration clinic. I mean, that was sort of the extent of my thinking at that point. And my first assignment back then was to go to a detention center. George Bush was the president. And I was going to the first detention center for immigrant families and doing an intake with a family there. And they were Iraqi. It was a mom, a dad, and a little baby. And they were all in prison uniforms, including the baby. She had this little onesie on, and her mom asked me if I would take her baby with me and take care of her until they could get out. And I remember going home that night just in shock. I mean, I was just so tearful about the reality of our policies and our treatment of immigrants, when the way we presented ourselves as a nation to the world, as a nation of immigrants and prosperity and hope and a beacon, was not matching the policies on the inside. And working with that family and learning about immigration, it was clear to me, like, this is it. This is the fight of my life, and I will do this for the rest of my career gladly. And obviously things have only gotten darker since then. And so the fight only intensifies. And I really do feel like it is such an honor for me to be able to represent these families, because I think it takes so much fortitude and bravery for someone to go through something in their home country, whether it's danger or just wanting a better life, and to literally pack everything up and go to this new place where you don't necessarily speak the language, you don't know the culture. I mean, everything is brand new, just because you want to do something better for yourself and your children. And I have so much respect for that. And I think all of us should, that somebody who does something like that is the kind of person that we want in this country. And so I only, my resolve only strengthens on a daily basis for this work.
That's a powerful story, and I appreciate you being willing to share that part. I'm sure a lot of people that heard your description of that probably took a pause to say, wow, that the courage of the families,
yeah,
but also the courage of you and the work that you do. So we talk about policy, and we talk about, as you mentioned a moment ago, how our policy doesn't represent on the ground actions, and I agree with you 1,000%, and that's what so many people are struggling with. But I know you've been on top of this one, and that's the district judge, Ms. Cobb, who said that this Trump effort to expand fast-track deportations is essentially illegal. I mean, help us through that. I think a lot of people in her blocking this effort to expand fast-track deportations, a lot of people don't understand what that, both sides of that means, the fast track and then her now essentially blocking this.
Yeah, I was just reading through the order. It's 48 pages. It's not super long, but it's one of these. I just love reading smart judges' orders. It's like scratching an itch.
Kate, when you read one of those and you're like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm like highlighting, writing things down. Like, yeah, that's what I've been thinking. It's so satisfying, but I mean, it's needed. This order is so necessary. This is a really, really important order because it really smacks down the Trump administration's efforts to disappear people and send them away without due process. We talk about due process. What does that mean? It means people get an opportunity to defend their life, their liberty, and their property under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. That's what due process is. And what the Trump administration has been doing since January, but really ramped up in May, is picking people up in the interior of the country in these raids, but also at the courthouses and their check-ins, and then detaining them and deporting them swiftly without due process, without a hearing, without an attorney, without an appeal, without paperwork, without a pause. And most of these people are eligible to stay. The vast majority of them are actually eligible to stay, but there's nobody overseeing it. And so what Judge Cobb was saying is that the way that they've expanded, it's called expedited removal, from the border to the interior of the country, is unlawful and overreaching, and that once someone is inside this country, they are afforded more due process than they've been getting. And so what it really tells the Trump administration, you can't do that anymore. You can't just pluck people off the streets or in the courthouses and send them away to another country. And I can tell you, I can think of so many families already that I know that could have used this order several months ago. I think of my client Carmen, who was arrested at the courthouse in front of her U.S. citizen husband and has 6 U.S. citizen daughters. And she's in Mexico now. Her whole family relocated to Mexico because of what happened to them. But she was in detention for 2 months, separated from her daughters. And I went to their house multiple times and I watched their family unravel without Carmen there. I mean, the youngest daughter was 7. And just the way that they suffered over those 2 months. And finally, at the end, despite the fact that all of them were U.S. citizens, they said, we don't want this country anymore. We're out of here. We don't ever want to come back. This country is not for us. And they left. And Carmen had, an interior design business. Her husband, Eduardo, is a very hardworking construction guy. He does house painting and roofing and all of that. And we've lost them. We've lost them and other good people like them because of this policy. So Judge Cobb's order is really, really important. And frankly, I wish it would have come sooner. It's hard for me to think about the people who already got removed before this order came down.
Yeah, it is heartbreaking in that regard, and how time wasn't on their side, unfortunately, in terms of this. So as we go forward, hopefully that's going to be there to protect more people. But I do have this thing that's lurking in my brain to ask you. So is this a block or an order that can be up for appeal? Because it's a district court. So can it go to what would be next? A federal? No, it's a federal judge.
Circuit. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's next in opposition? I guess let me just cut to the chase. That the administration can do to say, oh no, we're going to appeal this because we're right in our expedited removal. Is that something that could happen, or is this one kind of signed, sealed, and delivered?
No, it's not signed, sealed, and delivered. You're right. There is an appellate process. And it goes, lower federal court judge like Cobb, then it goes to the Circuit Court of Appeals, and then it goes to the Supreme Court. And what Cobb has issued is a stay, which is sort of a temporary order blocking a policy while the litigation is pending. And so you can have the stay or the injunction appealed while the case is still at the lower federal court. And probably that will occur. We'll see if the Trump administration appeals. I would imagine that they would. I mean, there's some what they call jurisdiction stripping language in the statute on expedited removal, where it says, the review within the federal court system of expedited removal is very limited. And so I would imagine that the Trump administration would pull that language and appeal. And who knows? Everything, I think, at the Supreme Court is a real crapshoot these days. So we will have to be watching this one carefully to see how it goes. And I am on social media, and I do really daily videos with updates and breakdowns of what things mean, and a weekly live video talking about the news of the week. So if anybody's interested in following, along and finding out how I'm interpreting everything, I invite you guys to follow my social media.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because I had a couple of the videos and I thought, okay, it's too long. It'll be Kate's video versus me and Kate talking this morning, but not too long in a negative way. So let me put the big star on that. It's so informative. So I will share this with you guys, and Kate just gave me the baton. If you are, or if you know someone, 1 or 2 degrees of separation that is caught up in this mess, please have them go to Kate's website, have them Google, or you can send it to them if you feel that there's someone that needs information on how to navigate. Kate is one of the best resources in the country for helping folks navigate through this. And to her point with her post, There's lots of good nuggets there to help you sort of better inform yourself and those that you care about at this time. Kate, like I said at the beginning, I had so many things that go through my mind, and I have my list of things I want to talk with you about. But at the end of the day, I guess meandering is okay, and we still are able to get some good information out to folks. What do you want to leave our listeners with today on this segment as we wrap up this morning?
Well, since you are all based in Chicago and you've got Trump breathing down your necks, let me say, I think that the threat is very real, that they will probably send in, military forces or law enforcement, and they will try to do some big, ugly, splashy raids and arrests because they are bullies and they will retaliate against sanctuary jurisdictions. I think that that is real. And I think that people who are immigrants should stay safe, know your rights, have your documents ready, have a relationship with an attorney, have an emergency contact, someone you can call if you get detained, have a plan for the children. Like, do your planning and preparing in earnest, really do that. And for the folks who are not, worried about immigration for themselves, if you're a U.S. citizen living in Chicago, reach out to an immigrant friend that you have and ask them what you can do to support them. Maybe they need you to bring them dinner or groceries or just come hang out with them in their house because they're not leaving. But that's the way that you can support. If you're safe to move about the streets of Chicago, use your freedom to support an immigrant who's probably going to be sequestered in their house for the next little bit.
Great information and great advice from a great woman that's doing the work of many. So, Kate, thanks for being with us again this morning. We're propping you up, and that little breeze you felt was the Windy City sending you some love and some support, and frankly, the rest of the nation sending you that love and support that you need to you and your fellow attorneys there at your firm. So thanks for being with us, Kate. Thanks, as always, for the hard work that you're doing. Look forward to having you back again and just chatting with the folks who need to hear your voice and hear your support and expertise, the useful skill, as you called it.
Thanks for having me on. It's always a joy to talk to you.
All right, Kate. Have a great day, and we'll talk with you soon. And you stay safe as well, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Mm-hmm. Bye-bye. Bye. Man. The fact that she does this work, and that she found her she found what she should be doing, and that she does it with the aplomb that she does and the strength that she does is frankly amazing. So those of you who listen to this show anywhere in the country, however you follow us, reach out to Kate, send her some love. If you can, in whatever way you can support. All you got to do is go to their website, and you can find ways you can get involved, whether it be indirectly or directly. She is one that's fighting, and let me be clear. She's not just fighting for those who are immigrants or struggling with the immigration situation. She's fighting for everybody who has a friend, a coworker. The list goes on. She's fighting for all of us in this space. These are the American heroes that don't wear capes. She wears those great golden-colored outfits, and so does her team. But this is someone that you want to support, and you want to find out how you can be a part of the things that she's doing to make things better for citizens of the United States and people that are on this inside of our borders. So there you go. Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch, immigration attorney, one of the people that we support and believe in. So I hope you guys can do the same. Let's take a quick break. Henry, you're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM, and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Save big during Labor Day at Lowe's. Get up to 40% off select major appliances. Plus, buy more to get up to an additional 20% off. Shop even more savings with 3 Stay Green 1 cubic foot vegetable and flower garden soil bags for $10. This Labor Day, take care of your home for less at Lowe's. We help, you save. Valid through 9/3. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
This is a WCPT moment in labor. In the summer of 1881, 2 decades after the Civil War, 20 African-American laundresses met at a local church in Atlanta to form the Washing Society, a trade organization which looked to create a higher uniform wage and greater work autonomy for laundresses, also known as washerwomen. Through the help of local preachers and door-to-door canvassing, the Washing Society grew from 20 members to 3,000 in only a few weeks. The workers went on strike and faced opposition from their employers as well as the local politicians. The Atlanta City Council proposed a licensing fee for their organizing efforts. The strikers agreed to the fee in exchange for self-regulation. In the end, the City Council rejected the proposed fees and the laundresses prevailed. The impact of the strike led to increased wages for some, but showed that African American workers, including women, were vital to the New South economy. This has been a WCPT Moment in Labor. We're working for your rights.
Viking, dedicated to creating travel experiences for the thinking person, with programs designed for cultural enrichment on board and on shore. Discover more at Viking.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. A federal appeals court ruled President Trump cannot use an 18th century wartime law to speed the deportations of people his administration accuses of being part of Venezuela's Tren de Aragua gang. The case will likely end up at the U.S. Supreme Court, and U.S. Space Command will be located in Alabama. Trump made the announcement yesterday and reversed a Biden-era decision to keep it at its temporary headquarters in Colorado. And overseas, Vladimir Putin has met with North Korea's leader. AP's Lisa Dwyer has more.
After a bilateral meeting between Russian and North Korean delegations, the Kremlin says that Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un met formally for a one-on-one meeting in Beijing, traveling from a reception to the bilateral in the same car. Putin also invited Kim to visit Russia again. Kim last visited Russia in 2023. Earlier, the two leaders attended a major military parade marking the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. According to South Korean assessments, since last year, North Korea has sent around 15,000 troops to Russia and has provided large quantities of military equipment, including ballistic missiles and artillery, to help bolster Russia's war in Ukraine. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The United Nations is warning of an exponential rise in casualties from eastern Afghanistan's powerful 6.0 magnitude. Yesterday, a Taliban government spokesman said more than 1,400 people have been killed, with more than 3,000 injured in the province of Kunar. And Hurricane Lorena has formed off Mexico's Baja California peninsula. Forecasters expect it to strengthen in the next 24 hours, with up to 15 inches of rain in some areas. A tropical storm warning has been issued. This is AP News. Political violence has hit a rally in southwest Pakistan.
A suicide bomber has blown himself up outside a stadium as supporters of a nationalist party were leaving a rally on the outskirts of Quetta. With reporters, Bakht Muhammad, Balochistan Health Minister, explains, when the rally finished, a suicide blast occurred, and as per initial information, so far more than 12 people have been martyred and 31 wounded, 7 of which are in a critical condition. There was no immediate claim of responsibility for the attack. The rally was held to mark the anniversary of the death of Sada Atullah Mengal, a veteran nationalist leader and former provincial chief minister. Balochistan has long been the scene of a low-level insurgency, with groups demanding independence from the central government. The separatists have largely targeted security forces and workers from Pakistan's Punjab province. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
And I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered rain showers and thunderstorms possible late today. Otherwise, partial sunshine develops, a high in the mid-70s. We'll have winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. Tonight, a slight chance for showers and storms early on, decreasing clouds, a low near 51. Thursday, sunshine, high of 68 degrees. Friday, sunny, high of 67. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's $64.
Save big money on your next project, now at Menards. Shelter Logic offers a great selection of storage solutions, from easy-to-assemble canopies to durable steel frame shelters and garages. They offer protection for vehicles, boats, and yard equipment with easy drive-in access. Save big money on Shelter Logic storage solutions and check out more great deals happening now in our weekly flyer on Menards.com.
Save big money at Menards.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. And thanks to those who have sent me text messages about Kate. And yes, she is incredible. Shout out Nancy for your text this morning. She's phenomenal, and we're going to do our best to have her back as often as we can, because what she speaks about right now is so incredibly important. Stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show today, because one of Stephanie's guests will be our own Mike Nellis. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Derek Blakely will be in for Joan Esposito, and he has a stellar lineup that includes TV news legend Bill Curtis, who's got a book out, Whirlwind, My Life Reporting the News. Alec Navala-Lee, author of Collisions, A Physicist's Journey from Hiroshima to the Death of the Dinosaurs, the first biography of the Nobel Prize-winning scientist Luis Alvarez. Ray Suarez, broadcast journalist and author of We Are Home, Becoming American in the 21st Century. And this other guy that I know, his name is Richard Chew, will be hanging out with Derek Blakely this afternoon, sitting in for Joan. So Live, Local, Progressive, weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT, Chicago's Progressive Talk for 20 years. And then tonight on Driving It Home, Dan Schaefer will be in for Patty Vasquez. And Thursday, Patty will be broadcasting from Los Angeles. That's where I just came back from. Had a chance to hang out with a good friend of mine there. And also a name you may recognize, Jody Hamilton, from her new podcast, The Politics Bar, which was really fun to hang out with her and her husband, Lonnie. So Patty's show will be broadcast from Los Angeles on Thursday. That's cool. Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. Central on WCPT, AM 820, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. The rest of the week's going to be pretty fast and furious. Tomorrow we have legal scholar and author Leah Lippman will be here for the entire 7 o'clock hour. So we'll be talking about the Supreme Court, and we're going to be taking your calls. You may have questions about the Supreme Court. We want you to give us a holler. We'll probably be looking at giving away some books next week of Leah's book. We have 3 copies that we'll be giving away, and so we'll let you know about that. So tomorrow, make sure that you tune in and that you also call in if you have questions, that we will be taking the calls, taking listener calls that you may have questions around the Supreme Court, and that's what Leah's specialty is. And then Friday, Mayor Johnson will be back. It's timing is one that we want to make sure that we take advantage of course, with all that's happening with immigration, with ICE, with the federal troops, etc. So that's another installment of This Month with the Mayor. So there you go. The Credo Mobile phone and text line, 773-763-9278. CPT listeners now get 25% off for 2 years at credomobile.com with the code WCPT25. That is Credo Mobile, a progressive phone company that is better for all people and the planet. Visit credomobile.com. So it's Wednesday, and on Wednesday we have the fun time of conversation with our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Good morning, Kurt, and welcome to the show.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. How about yourself, my friend?
I'm good. I had a fun trip to Fort Wayne last night and was able to witness our buddy Cliff Cash firsthand.
Yep. I sent him a
freaking hilarious.
A big digital hug yesterday, saying good luck with the show. I know you're going to turn it out, and sounds like he did.
Yeah, it was great. He's even better in person. So we had a good time. And what a great segment with Katie. That was great for you. So I loved listening to that.
She is flat out amazing. And you know, how can one not, just because of the courage that it takes and the fortitude that it takes for her to do the work that she does. And yeah, it's great that she has this useful skill, as she puts it. But for me, and I know cats like you, it goes way beyond that to have the courage to do the work that she does and see some of the just horrible things that she has to see and hear some of the horrible stories that she has to hear and endure. So, all you guys out there calling yourself tough guys, Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch is the real deal.
Yeah, it's you hate you hate glorifying some of the tragedies that occur when things happen in our lifetimes. But I think some of the stories that she can share and that she shared with you just in that short time, I think it's important to know, because I don't think any of us, no matter how much we talk about it, can grasp the just inhumane treatment that these people, human beings, are being subjected to by this administration and these people. I kept thinking about all of them down in southern Florida yesterday with the weather the way it is right now down there.
Yeah.
Go outside and sit underneath a shade tree when it's 95 degrees out for a half hour and see what happens to you. I mean, when you're, able to move around or find shade or whatever. So it's just horrible.
Yeah.
But that's why we do what we do, man. That's why we do what we do.
That's why we do what we do. We recognize our blessings. We recognize our privilege, and I believe we do our best to try to bring some attention to it and some joy to those success stories, and also, shedding light on the things that are not great. I think is important because it forces us to act. It forces us to think about things a little bit differently. And when you, not you, Kurt, but when any of us sees these things, and then we're moved to action. And sometimes the action may not be the best thing or the only thing, but we're at least moved to action. That's so incredibly important. And that's, again, we're going back to Kate, why the work that she's doing is more than just meaningful. It's needed, and it is it's powerful what she's getting done. So
yeah, absolutely. And people need to realize action can be something as simple as simply talking and having conversation. If people want to be active and be part of this fight, talk, communicate, just share your thoughts with your friends and family and those who may not be aware. Keep in mind, most of America doesn't pay attention to politics, and it's a short percentage of us, and it's our responsibility. If we can't protest and go to D.C. and stand there with a bullhorn, we have a powerful voice, and you've proven that over time with people that call in on your show. Some of the things that just, and I put myself in this category. Some of the things that just ordinary Joes have to say can be some of the most powerful words that you hear. They don't have to be coming from a scholar or a lawyer, just a regular old dude or a regular old woman, sitting on a front porch that, is sharing her thoughts. So that's how you can be active. So I think it's important. And we truly appreciate you and WCPT for giving so many listeners the ability to let their voices be heard. So,
well, I take it, as a badge of responsibility. And I, Kurt, I say this, maybe more in private to folks like you and those that are, part of this. I am honored by this opportunity to be here, and I take it seriously, and I want to be able to connect folks who may feel disconnected. One of the hardest things in life, I believe, and again, this is my observation, one of the hardest things in life to, excuse me, guys, is to be is to feel disconnected. We all want to be part of something. And correct me if I'm wrong or share your thoughts on this, but we all want to be part of something. And what I have always, and think about it when folks get older and there's no one around. Those are the tough moments to know exist. But in this time that we're in right now with this craziness, and why I've tried to work hard and say, let's stay connected. Let's make sure we're reaching out and checking in on people and knowing where folks are. And whether we 100% agree on everything isn't the point. It's that we are working toward being connected. And Kate, I asked her toward the end, what are some words of advice or wisdom that she can give in this moment? And one of the first things that came out of her mouth is to make sure you're checking in on people. Make sure that you are, if you have someone that is potentially one to be caught up in this craziness, to let them know that you're there for them. I mean, literally, she was like taking food to people who may have decided that they're going to stay in and not get out in the fray. That to me is part of our responsibility to one another, is to make sure that we're connecting and helping other folks be connected. You've done a great job of that. You've done a phenomenal job of that with your post on social media and the numbers of people that have become followers of the things that you're doing. And to me, that's huge. And that's one of the things that's a core cool thing about you, is that you stay in the fight. You catch a lot of heat from people that are out there saying a variety of things, but you stay in the fight because for you, I know this, it's bigger than any adulation that you get. It's really about making sure people are informed, people have a place to turn to, people are connected. And so, that's an applaud to you, brother, because I know how much it means to you for people to be able to be connected in this crazy time that we're in right now.
Well, and I appreciate that. I mean, it's hard for people to understand. It's hard for those like us to explain to them why we are so invested in it. My daughter's here from Oklahoma this week, and we've talked about this. It's created a lot of friction with family and friends because of what I do. But I don't know what else to do. I can't sit back and just ignore everything and be quiet. And do I speak sometimes when I shouldn't speak? Well, yeah, but I'm 62 years old. That didn't start yesterday. I've been kind of that way my whole life. That's just who I've been, and it comes with good parts of it and bad parts of it. I mean, that's just something I've learned. But we are all part of this right now. When this is taught in history to our future generations, I don't want our future generations to look back and say, well, why didn't they do more? I don't want that to be read. I want what to be read, say, wow, those people were. I want them to look back on us as we look back on the civil rights movement and the women's rights movement and all of the things that took place in the 50s and 60s and early 70s. That's what I want our future generations to look back at us and view us that way. I don't want my future, descendants to say, wow, he stood on the wrong side of history or whatever the case may be. So I think that's where my passion comes from. And I know that's where yours and so many others come from. And so we can't let our foot off the gas. And I think things are working. I think we're seeing some cracks in the armor. I think every day that goes by, I could say this. You say you can't say this all the time, but the stupidity of people just gets exposed on a daily basis. And yourself, this administration is filled with stupidity. We don't have people that are skilled in their positions. We have people that are skilled because they're loyal to the felon. That's what their talent is. Yeah. They don't have talent when it comes to anything else. I mean,
their talent isn't in the work or the the title of the role that they're in. Their talent is in puckering up and genuflecting to this dude that is the occupant of the White House. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking to our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. We were just saying how the people that are in this administration, this regime, and I would say on a larger scale, Kurt, throughout not just the administration, but all the other sycophants that are in on the Republican side of Congress and in the House of Representatives, certainly in the Senate.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And on a state level, I mean, you've highlighted this before, and that's one of why I was glad that we were able to have our guest on last week, Representative Pierce, who talked about that. He made it clear. He said, yeah, we basically, I mean, I'm putting words in his mouth post-interview, but we got some knuckleheads on the right in Indiana.
Right.
And so it was great.
Absolutely.
It was so great to talk with him because, as someone that's elected and he's dealing with it. But I also was, to go back to what you said a little bit about some of the cracks, or we're making some incremental progress. And I know that some people are sitting back going, yeah, Chu, yeah, Kurt, but it ain't big enough. But we got to start somewhere. And what Representative Pierce talked about is breaking that supermajority, because there's some seats, and we're going to have him back in a couple of weeks to talk about that. But there is some bits of optimism there that he spoke about with regard to the state legislature in Indiana.
Yeah, and absolutely. And he's from southern Indiana, and I'm from northeast Indiana. So, and people need to realize that's like, comparing Chicago to southern Illinois. I mean, it's a world of difference. And but we still face the same problems. It's just, maybe, the demographics and everything that surrounds us, dictates it in a different way. But, there's a lot of progress that can be made, and it just has to be, we're not going to go in there and just totally dismantle this overnight. It takes a little bit of time, but I hate going there with him, but I just see I don't think he's got much time left to where he's going to be physically and mentally capable of doing what he's doing. I think that press conference that he had yesterday, I think he was filled with whatever they needed to give him in order for him to make it through.
That cocktail to keep him from whatever. Yeah. I hear you, man. It was. I don't even know what the words are. Bizarre is one. It was shame. You know what? Here's the thing. You posted where has he been hiding? Where has he been hiding? In the basement? Who's running the country? We demand full exposure of his medical condition. What has sleepy-eyed Donnie been doing? MAGA are they're lying to the country. He doesn't know who he is or where he is. All right, I'm giving you guys the quick hit of one of the things that Kurt posted. So I'll come back to this for a moment, and to your point, I want to give sleepy-eyed Donnie any more time, but it is where we are. But this is the thing that's crazy for me in this space about what's happening with his health. We don't know. We heard a few weeks ago about this circulatory issue that he has, et cetera. And, not a peep behind that since then, other than them glossing over, that he's fine, he's the best he's ever been. But at the end of the day, and this is the question that I think a lot of people are I don't know if they're wrestling with it or they're not. They're just kind of avoiding it. But in the event that something happens to him and he can't serve in the office of president, and J.D. Vance becomes president, for whatever reason, whatever means, however it goes down, I think it's, and listen, this may sound craven from me, but it's not my norm. I think the Dems pounce on that with both feet and both hands. I really do. I think if Donald Trump were no longer able to serve as president, for whatever means and however that played itself out, the Dems should pounce on that immediately. It can't be this, giving this sort of regal whatever to the presidency and Donald Trump and all blah. No. It is the time when Democrats need to pull out the swords and all the rest and just become ruthless, because the Republicans, the GOP, the media said that he was Superman and that Joe Biden was done. But in fact, if Trump doesn't make it because of a health-related reason, I think the Dems should pounce all over that and be ruthless and relentless about it.
Yeah,
that's my take.
Two things. That meme that you read that I made was things that they all said about Joe Biden, and I was just taking a play, a little bit out of the playbook of Gavin Newsom right now, just repeating what they have all said, because that was all things that they said about Joe Biden. And second, to your point, yes, I absolutely feel like here's the way I'll put it, and I know you and I go back and forth on this a little bit, but if the Dems do not jump all over this will be the last straw with many Democrats in this country. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't disagree with you.
Democrats have been extremely patient with this party, and if they don't pounce on that, if something happens, it will be the last straw with many of us. So, and I also don't think J.D. Vance has the what do you want to call the appeal to the Republican base that the felon has. Okay.
No,
so
you're right about that. And that's why that's the opening.
Yeah, once he goes down, I think there's the chink, and we need to dismantle it from that point on. And I think a lot of it will be self-implosion too. So, but that's just my opinion. So that's why we have to keep fighting what we're doing and keep doing what we're fighting for. So, but I agree with you 100%. We need to pounce all over it. So
yeah, there's no.
And I think that's in the near future. I seriously do.
I do.
I seriously do. I really, yeah. So
and here's the thing: we're both being respectful here to a certain. We're not to a certain degree. We're being totally respectful. I am not advocating for anybody out there that's going to try to take this the wrong way anywhere in the country. We are not advocating for anything to happen to anybody. Let us both. I'll be the one to be perfectly clear for both me and Kurt. I am saying in the same sentence, if something does happen medically and he can't serve, Democrats cannot be nice about it. They have to pounce on it. Democratic elected officials all over, from every level, from the outhouse to the courthouse, have got to be willing. They've got to be willing to be this time ruthless and make a big deal out of it, push hard, and all the things that they need to do. So when I say what's ruthless, I mean take no prisoners when it comes to Donald Trump and the administration and the regime and all the rest and his sycophants lying about his health. Be ruthless about that. And and I believe that if that were to be the case, a lot of people, there's some people that are going to, oh, you're being insensitive. No. You all lied. You made it one thing and it wasn't. And now here we are. So that's what I mean by being ruthless about it. Not ruthless toward Donald Trump, but ruthless in their actions about taking back power.
Richard, we have experienced almost 10 years of insensitive comments and rhetoric from the MAGA world. I mean, and so we have to be apologetic for fighting back finally. I mean, that just blows me away when I hear, and I'm not saying you, when MAGA or whatever, that's, are you serious? Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. It truly is. So, I know we got to go, and I know we didn't talk about anything that we were going to talk about.
Well, Kate got us off in a direction about being in the fight, so we're okay there. Exactly. Go ahead, say what you got to say.
Exactly. Well, there's a new report from the FBI, statistics of 2024, that was released today, with a list of cities with more than 100,000 residents that have a higher crime rate than Chicago.
Oh,
now,
my gosh.
This is an FBI report and stats from 2024.
Fake news.
They ain't in the top 10. You guys ain't in the top 10.
Fake news.
You know who else is up there? L.A.
Fake news.
Yeah. You know who is in the top 10, top 20, though? Indianapolis and Montgomery, Alabama, Memphis, Tennessee. I mean, Shreveport, Louisiana, Little Rock, Arkansas.
I know.
I mean,
I got a text. I got a text from somebody that said, "When are we going to get back to talking about the racism, the sexism, and the bigotry that's taking place in America when it comes to these cities?" And to the person that sent me the text, I agree with you. That is definitely a part of this. It's a bigger part than anything else. It ain't about fighting crime. It ain't about getting the bad people out of a particular community or the country. It's about racism, sexism, white Christian nationalism, and privilege, and the bigotry and the hate that's behind that. But I hear you, man. I hear you.
I think anytime we talk about any of this, all of that is included. We can't single out every issue every single time we talk about it. Anytime we talk about things, that is all encompassed in it. It's all part of this. I mean, that never goes away.
No, it doesn't.
That's why we're here. If those four things didn't exist, would we be here?
Probably not.
So that's what people need. That's what people need to keep in mind. That's
Yeah.
So
Kurt Mullett,
anyway,
y'all.
hey,
Who's Your Blue 63? Hanging with me on Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025. Kurt, thanks for being with us, man. As always, we appreciate what you do and your passion, and thank you for that.
Thanks for having me, brother. Have a great day.
I will. You too. Talk with you soon, Kurt.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Uh-huh.
We're going to take a quick break, guys. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM in Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Still struggling with gas, bloat, constipation, nausea, or diarrhea? Have you tried eliminating foods but felt no change? It's time to call the tummy whisperer, Renee Barish, at Digestive Health Solutions. Renee uses targeted testing to reveal exactly what's happening in your gut. Gut bacteria plays a key role in all your body functions, from cardiovascular regulation to brain function. When the gut is imbalanced, you may experience symptoms that extend beyond the gut, such as anxiety, skin issues, poor sleep, or increased risk for disease. Digestive Health Solution uses advanced testing to identify harmful microbes and evaluate the overall balance of the gut ecosystem. Get insights into your health, digestion, and how your microbiome affects all aspects of your body. Stop suffering. Call Renee now at 847-207-2034 or visit thetummywhisperer.com. That number is 847-207-2034. Let's get you feeling better. The Tummy Whisperer.
This is Tony Moret. I'm an estate planning lawyer who drafts living trusts and wills. Since the election, I've been hearing from my clients, many of them fellow WCPT listeners. And we all wonder, how did this happen and what can we do? The how is, of course, very complicated. My thoughts as regard to what we can do is simple but important. We need to take extra care of those we love. Having an estate plan using either a living trust or will can provide comfort in uncertain times like these. When the progressive values we hold dear are under attack, I feel we must make sure that our personal lives are secure and then work out from there. I've been drafting estate plans for my clients for over 30 years, and I will use all of that experience to help you. Please call me at 847-996-0496. My website is moreylawoffice.com. That's More spelled M-O-R-E-E. Again, the phone is 847-996-0496. There is no cost or obligation for our initial discussion. I look forward to speaking with you.
You are listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered rain showers and thunderstorms possible late today. Otherwise, partial sunshine develops, a high in the mid-70s. We'll have winds out of the southwest around 5 to 15 miles per hour, gusting as high as 20. Tonight, a slight chance for showers and storms early on, decreasing clouds, a low near 51. Thursday, sunshine, high of 68 degrees. Friday, sunny, high of 67. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 65.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
This is Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Guys, welcome back to Choose Views on this September 3rd, 2025. Good to be with you. Great hanging with my man, Kurt Mullett. We had a ton of stuff that we were going to talk about. Hard to do in that short period of time, but I'm glad we were able to at least give a shout out to Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch and what she represents, which is something that I think we all can embrace. We're not immigration attorneys, but we can all embrace pulling together and being connected to folks and making sure that our voices are heard, and through other people that by being connected with other people, that their voices are heard, that their voices are not shielded and shouted down. So kudos to Kurt for reminding us of that. And you know, we're fortunate here. We've got really just great people that decide to land their plane with us every now and again. And since Monday was a holiday, we kind of moved things around a little bit. But with us is our good friend, one of the best writers and journalists in the country today, and that is a co-founder and just cool person from the Daily Politicus, and that's our friend Sarah Jones. Good morning, Sarah, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Richard, and to your wonderful audience. Here we are in chaos land.
Oh, Lord have mercy, we are. Sorry about that. You
guys are in it.
Yeah, I know, right? You coming to Chicago to hang out with us? I mean, come on in. We could use all the strong voices.
I would love to, and I would, just wait for the tankers to drive by, all the wasteful spending, and the inciting of violence by federal forces. Yeah, that sounds great.
Man, Sarah, you posted a really great article where you talk about that, and you talk about the, just the inappropriate use of using federal forces, federal troops as civilian police and law enforcement. You and Jason had a really great article about that, and you guys should check this out at their site. The title of the article is "Democracy Fights Back as Trump's use of troops as civilian police force has been ruled illegal." Let's talk a little bit about that article and then talk about that ruling.
Well, first of all, just to set the stage, it's really good to have that ruling, but do we have enforcement mechanisms with this president? There's so many different stages of what, and there's ways that he could, if he really cared about violence, like this, zoom out for a minute and look at all the cuts he made to gun violence prevention programs. And I believe he's rescinded $800 million in grants to local gun violence prevention and crime reduction programs that have been really effective in cities like D.C. and a lot of the other cities that he's targeting: Boston, Philadelphia, Baltimore, probably Detroit and Chicago. What I think people should be asking themselves right now isn't like, this is wrong. Why is he doing this? It's inciting violence, which it is. All of those things are good points. But why is Donald Trump actually trying to make things worse in these cities? Why did he cut gun violence prevention programs? Why are these guns coming in, as your mayor pointed out, the mayor of Chicago pointed out in a press conference yesterday, all these guns coming in from red states? Why did he take so much money away and agents from the ATF and put them on deportation duty if he really cares about crime? He clearly actually is trying to create crime and make things worse. And I've seen some people say that this is because he wants to help the gun manufacturers, and I'm sure that there's some truth to that. But I think also, as your governor pointed out, he's trying to incite violence so that he can justify federalizing troops against American citizens.
Yeah.
Without all the pushback that he's been getting, right? Because so far people are like, no, what are you doing? This isn't cool. Even people who agree with Trump think that, and who voted for him, a lot of them think this is inappropriate because there's no justification for it.
Well, I think the key, one of the keys certainly is there's no justification for it when you look at data, and the data says there's no justification for it. Take away your opinion, my opinion, and 1,000 other people's opinion that either write or talk about this. The numbers don't warrant this type of use of our resources. And, I said this earlier in the show, Sarah. I was talking about this as it relates to the stupidity factor. And the one thing that we, sometimes fade away from, and it is what happens, is the distraction factor. Okay, right now. So to zoom out a little bit, like you said, right now this conversation around troops coming into major cities that are have a large population of folks of color, sanctuary for LGBTQ and other folks who might be asylum seekers. It's an attack by this regime to go after those people. It's not about solving crime. It's not about making things safer for people. It's not about providing resources for people who are in peril to actually be in a better situation, i.e. an emergency, which is when you really would want to use a National Guard. Okay, so table set. We know that's what their goal is. And to what Governor Pritzker said and Mayor Johnson has said, don't be throwing sandwiches. Don't take the bait. Stand down. Be cool. Okay. That table being set, Sarah, here's the other thing that we have just kind of slipped away from, because in some ways this strategy is working, and that is the distraction from the Epstein files. Because
right, and that, yes.
Right. Just think about that. This entire show, I've in one way talked about some of the distractions of the troops, whether it be regarding immigration or it be regarding federalizing the police forces in major cities. But at the same time, yesterday, we see the video of Nancy Mace walking out of the meeting on the Epstein files, apparently in her theatrical tears. I don't give her any grace because of the way in which she's treated women who have been victims of violence and abuse. She herself claims that she was. But if she really were, then we would think she's acting differently. I'm not calling that into question. I'm just saying I'm not giving her any grace until she acts differently. But we're not talking about this group of people who abused young women and girls. And that to me is that to talk about protecting and standing up for people and reducing violence. How about that? And so we've all gotten caught up in the distraction, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think you're so right. I keep saying this over and over again. All of this is a distraction. And then today at 10:30, Representatives Massey and Khanna are having a press conference with 10 of the Epstein victims. And that is a part of why this is happening, why he keeps amping up these threats to the cities. Oh, we're going to look over here, look over. This is what Trump always does. This is a reality TV show president. He knows how to direct attention away from what he doesn't want to talk about and to lob bombs over in other, far away from him and whatever he's hiding. He's also got the crypto scam that just got busted yet again. All of this deep corruption that he is engaging in and using this country to achieve while he robs people in this country, all of that is to hide his own corruption. And a big part of his corruption, whether he was guilty of anything in terms of the actual sexual abuse of these victims, or he is just friends with this person and somehow, for some reason, trying to hide this and giving, the only co-conspirator who was convicted a free ride. Whether that's all he's doing or he had money involved in this, why it doesn't matter anymore. What is happening is he's using the highest office in the land to protect the perpetrators of this huge act of violence against women and girls. And we know from a lot of psychological reports that people who rape women are usually often commit violence against women. And we know that many of these mass shooters have a crossover with violence against women, stalking women, rape.
Yep.
So to your point about if he actually cared about crime, he would be going after everyone in the Epstein files. He would be releasing the Epstein files and going after the people, and he wouldn't be giving Ghislaine Maxwell,
anytime. Now you got convicted by a jury of your peers. Sit your behind in jail. We got nothing for you. I'm going to go after this over here because this is where the real issue is. But that's not. And so this is again. I had to launch into this about it being a distraction because it has, along with the things that you just mentioned in terms of the crypto scam, all these things about his bad behavior and the behavior that's bad of the people that are around him. It's a distraction from all of that so that they can give the illusion, and it is just that, an illusion of a presidency, of a regime an administration that's working well when in fact it's working like a regime that's doing nothing but that is designed to do nothing but to tear down the pillars of strength in our country. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, and we are talking to Sarah Jones of PoliticusUSA and The Daily. Sarah, you were going to say something. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no. You have to do your important work there. I now forgot what it was, except that you were just making all these connections about the corruption and the things that Trump is hiding. And then I wanted to add in, there's also his health. And so what he's doing is a lot like what Putin does. He's acting a strongman by using terrorism and inciting violence and inciting poverty so that he can grab more power for himself. And another thing that he's hiding, much like Putin, is his poor health. Mm-hmm. And that he is not a strong man. He's trying to signal strong man. But as you were talking about, and to suggest that the administration is working, this is the most incompetent administration I have ever seen. And I don't say that because I don't like him. I don't say that. There's plenty of people. I didn't like George W. Bush. His administration wasn't incompetent.
No.
These people are so incompetent that daily I have to tell myself, just stay calm. Like, I can't control the fact that they don't know what they're doing and that bad things are happening. We have this realignment happening with Xi Jinping and Modi and Putin now. They're all working together.
Look at the EU. Look at this most recent situation with the EU, where they're like, you know what, and they keep marching and giving signals, or I should say, giving signals and marching toward. When you all, and I've said this before, Sarah, when you all figure this out, the United States of America, then maybe we'll get back together. And they're being fairly subtle about it, because obviously, if they were to do it in an overt way, it would probably, rattle some of the people in Washington. But I get your point that these other leaders are saying, we're going to we're hang with you, but we're not going to hang with you like we used to.
Yeah, and, when you see Donald Trump thinks he's a strong man, and he has told everyone, like, look, I'm friends with Putin. We're getting along with these people. Well, we're not getting along with Putin. He's over here interfering in our democracy and undermining it every single day, and trying to interfere in our election. So, no, you're not getting along with. He's using you. He's manipulating the president of the United States, and now he is having this alignment of autocrats, of dictators, and they're working against the United States. And Trump doesn't seem to understand what he has done with his tariffs. Yeah. Just alone with his tariffs, what he has done. And that is a direct result of his great incompetence and combined with his selfishness and his greed. So he's like a child, like an infant that a greedy, immoral infant that somebody has placed into the White House. That's what's going on. And it is really disturbing to me how many Republicans are fine with that. And even Democrats, like, they had to be pushed to object to this stuff. We're all supposed to act like this is normal.
Yeah.
I read something this morning. Oh, Richard, this really got me.
Uh-oh.
Some of the stuff we have to put up with. One of the media outlets was saying, there's this funding fight coming up. Republicans have a trifecta of power right now, but this won't, we wrote about how this was really going to look bad for Democrats if they don't get their messaging together. And I'm like, then the next sentence is like, but, it might look bad for Republicans if they can't pull this off, if they can't blame Democrats. And I was over here thinking, but does anybody ever ask y'all, like, why? Let's ask the question. Why would they get away with blaming Democrats when Democrats don't have power right now?
Yeah.
Who would let them get away with that? Who would let that happen? Oh, it's you guys. You guys are the ones letting that happen. And what happens when you don't hold people accountable? And they have no internal mechanism of morality or, loyalty to the way this country is supposed to be run. What happens then? Then they keep going, and it gets worse and worse. What's happening?
Got to draw a line. Got to be willing. Got to be willing, Sarah, to draw the line. And my answer in part to that question is that Democratic leaders have to be willing to do this, and they shouldn't have had to be pushed by us to do the things that we are asking them to do, which is to fight every single day. But we've had to push them, so here we are. Now, I think that one of the messaging opportunities at the Dems, and I talked about this as it relates to Joni Ernst in Iowa. One of the things that the Democratic Party on a national level and on a state level, let's just say with this particular seat, Senate seat, need to be yelling from every corner about is how awful she's been as a senator, and here's by her vote, the people that have been hurt. And I said, Iowans, ask yourself this question. What things has she actually done to make your life better? And then to zoom out, like you said, then ask yourself on a statewide basis, on a national level, what is it that the GOP has done to make your life better? If they run your state legislature, your state hasn't gotten any better. And if you've got federal elected officials in the House and Senate, what have they actually brought to you? They haven't stood in the void to block Trump and the big, ugly, disgusting bill. So Iowans, whether you be Democrat, Republican, or in the middle, have to ask that question. What has this party done to actually make your life better? By contrast, Sarah, Donald Trump's family wealth since becoming president has doubled. It's been 100% increase.
At least, right?
By all measure. So by comparison,
yesterday went up by $6 billion, right? Because of the crypto. It's astonishing.
So ask that question, Republicans, but Democrats force that conversation by making them ask that question. That's how I see it.
I would like to see the way that you put that. I would like to see the messaging from Democrats be very simple. Look at what Trump has done and how effective it is. He uses one sentence and he repeats it just constantly.
Yeah.
And, Democrats keep overestimating the ability for people to understand what's going on. One sentence. How has Joni Ernst improved your life? Is your life better? You keep talking about how things were great in the good old days. She's been your senator for how long? And how come nothing has changed? How come she hasn't changed all these stuff? And how did one of the things that I bring up to the Trump supporters that I speak with pretty regularly here, I always ask them, well, so how does taking medication away from trans kids help you?
Or hurt you, as it were.
Yeah. How is it helping your life? So that seems like a big, it's a very small percentage of people, right? So let's look at how your life has improved under this regime. What concrete things? Are groceries better? Are the gas prices better? What instead of talking about the culture war, let's talk about these financial pieces of your life.
Yep.
Because all that culture war stuff is just meant to, they keep trying to rage bait Democrats into getting into, and progressives and liberals into getting into these arguments. And I think that is such a waste of energy, and it really is yet another distraction. I care about all those rights for everyone, but you're arguing with those people and getting pulled into their stupid culture wars isn't going to protect anyone's rights. It's only going to undermine people because it just gives that more fuel. And we need to be focused on how to get power away from these people before they do any more damage.
Yeah, that's the top of the list way of approaching it. I agree with you, Sarah. Make it simple. How is Joe? And this is a template for messaging across the country. How has your XYZ elected official, state senator, or a state house person, or your governor made your life better if you're in a red state or if you have representation that is a Republican? Tell me how. Well, I can tell you how it's made it worse. And that's, to me, that's a simple pivot. And I think that's got to be part of the messaging. And in 2 months, you guys will hear this from me again, because I believe that the simplicity in the messages, because I say this often, Sarah, our ideas are better. But the simplicity of the messaging this time around has to be paramount. And
a billboard, like you're saying, with here's what Joni Ernst got did for you, 000. Here's what Donald Trump got for himself. Meanwhile,
bingo.
$6 billion a day. Have a great day. There you go. You're paying how much for eggs? How much is your gas? And here's what he got for himself. Have a great day.
And how many eggs can he buy? How many egg farms can he buy with this newfound wealth? Because you guys would not stop and listen to logic and what makes sense, rather than, to your point, getting wrapped up in things that you said mattered, but they weren't really what you were voting for. And that's a lie that now has been made clear. I know we're wrapping up, and I probably shouldn't introduce this now, but I just have to say this real quickly. You've been great with your writing and your post, and all I can tell you is, Sarah, keep up the great work. It's been tremendous for so many people that I know now have said to me, wow, I didn't know about Sarah, and I'm so glad that I get to hear from her and people that are following your writing and what you're doing on Substack. So keep up the good work that you are doing with the Daily and PoliticusUSA. It's really, really having an impact, and it really does matter.
That is really wonderful to hear, and I can't tell you how important it is to hear those things, because this is not a good time. It takes a lot, and I really care about people. I really care about this country. So it is a costly thing to be living with Donald Trump all day long. Yeah.
Right
so
on.
Thank you so much for saying that. I certainly feel the same way about your show and all of the great work that you're doing. So I'm really honored to be on with you. And, I feel like you offer people such a place of hope to keep engaged, which is the most important thing you can do for people.
Right on. Sarah Jones, y'all, here on this Wednesday, not a Monday, but a Wednesday. But thank you, Sarah, for being with us this morning. Keep up the great work, and I know we'll talk to you in a week or so.
All right, wonderful. Thanks, Richard.
All right, have a great day. We'll talk soon.
You too.
Bye-bye. Guys, it's been great today. Sarah's been with us, and we chop it up as always. Kurt Mullett, our great friend from Hoosier Blue 63, and immigration attorney, Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch, who was so willing to be with us this morning and talk about the hard work that she's doing. So stay with her, follow her, send her love and support. And as always, guys, make your life count. You know why? Because you're going to take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
It's nice to know someone is on your side. Mark Drugs always has your back. No two dogs are the same. A dosage form or strength of medication that works for one dog may not work for another. A compounding pharmacy like Mark Drugs is here to help you with your pet's medication challenges. We'll be happy to help you when your pet is sick. After all, it can affect the whole family. That's why we give our four-legged patients customized medications to make it easier for them to take. For pet medication problems, first see your veterinarian, then talk to your hometown independent compounding pharmacy, Mark Drugs. If you'd like to know more about the ways we can personalize medication for each individual patient, we'd be happy to help. We are a compounding pharmacy, which means we can prepare the medication prescribed in a strength and dosage form that meets the patient's needs. Ask us how our pharmacy can help. You have a choice when it comes to your healthcare.